Hi.
Hello, who are you?
Congratulations, I'm Nancy from
Hello.
the Television Academy Foundation. Just talk a little bit about why you wanted to get involved with this project.
I initially didn't know anything about Michael Jackson, and I had no view about whether he was guilty or innocent, and I knew very little of the details. So my subject area was terrorism, war, and crime, etc. So I don't come from that field. I stumbled across the story because someone persuaded me to. I was looking for a way to make documentaries with fewer dead bodies in them, and someone said, "Why don't you do the Michael Jackson controversy? That's a big story that no one's ever really got to the bottom of." And I thought, "Oh, that's interesting," but I wasn't that keen. This was Channel 4 in the UK. They gave me a small amount of money to hire a researcher, and somewhere in the research were the names of these two guys, Wade Robson and James Safechuck, who I'd never heard of. And the ridiculous idea crossed my mind that if they were willing to stand up in court and say things and tell their stories, that perhaps they might go in front of the camera. And I remember thinking, that's never going to happen, right? And here we are.
You came into this completely neutrally after working on all the Frontline documentaries. At what point did you believe them?
I started to believe them during the master interviews. So the way it happened is I met Wade and James, and we immediately did very, very long multi-day interviews. And I realized that, and this is always a difficult thing to say, but I realized when listening to Wade's story that as a 7-year-old he kind of entered into a relationship that is like a twisted 7-year-old version of a romantic relationship, an adult relationship with Michael Jackson. He kind of fallen in love with the star, and Jackson told him that he loved him, and he was in love with him. And this is something I never expected to hear. Like most people, I thought that child sexual abuse was, when some kind of predator in a stained, raincoat grabs a kid from outside school and drags him to an alley and does something violent. And that's not how it happens 80% of the time. It's a trusted, close friend, it's someone you admire, you look up to, and someone who gains the confidence, grooms the child and his family. So yeah, I began to, the depth of detail and the unsparing, if he was trying to bamboozle me, he wouldn't have had to say, well, I fell in love with Michael Jackson when he was sexually abusing me at 7. So that kind of made it much more credible for me. And then of course we did a huge amount of background research into whether it was possible for them to have experienced the things they said they did.
Hi. Dave Chappelle has come out and spoken against the accusers, and I was wondering if you had a response to that.
Yeah, obviously I know these guys, and I believe their stories, and I know they were basically raped as kids. They were taken advantage of. I think that mocking, the victims of child sexual assault is not a particularly clever thing to do. It obviously got some laughs because it became part of antagonism against the whole cancel this, cancel that movement. I never said to cancel Michael. There's nothing in my documentary that says don't listen to his music or cancel his work. So we just Chappelle is riding on a wave of being contrarian and being controversial, and I think to me it was revolting. So I felt physically sick listening to what he was saying, and it wasn't just an off the cuff. It was a sustained attack on these guys. Child sexual abuse is a pretty nasty crime. Anyone who's come close to it, anyone who knows anyone who's been a victim of it, it kind of does. It's a stretch to use that as the you can make comedy out of so many other things. Why not do something brave instead of cramping on some victims of child rape?
Any additional questions? All right, thank you. Congratulations.
Thanks, guys.